Hey everybody, it's Carm here, the director nearby. Back on, feeling a little inspired today, and I suppose this is something of a response video. I watched Sherv's video earlier. If you know him, Julius Jabbar. He had done a video recommending a fairly new channel. I think a fellow named Michael. I can't think off the top of my head what the username is, but I'll put it in the notes. He was mentioning him and also showing some books, specifically jazz books, and I wanted to do something of a response to that. But I was also thinking about a video he had done maybe a couple months ago, 2-3 months ago, talking about Fred Anderson, the saxophonist, and he ran a fellow who ran a club actually here in town called the Velvet Lounge years ago. It was a great little club. Local jazz acts, groups from all over the world, improvised music, all kinds of things. And it got me thinking about another thing I've been wanting to talk about, which is a festival I used to go to back from the late 90s into the mid 2000s called the Empty Bottle Festival of Jazz and Improvised Music. I think that started in maybe the mid 90s. I think Ken Vandermark and John Corbett it put it on for quite a few years. John Corbett, who's a writer, musician himself, it's written for Downbeat among other things. Real nice book here. He's written several. And Ken Vandermark, a wonderful creative artist, multi-instrumentalist, a lot of different his own group, plus a lot of other sort of ad hoc sort of things. And it got me thinking about, that festival I used to go to. I started going there, I think I went for the first time maybe in '98. It went until maybe the middle of the 2000s. It only lasted maybe around a decade or so, but I got to catch a few of them. And that's the place. It's the Empty Bottle on Northwestern Street. Little pub on the corner, but a very neat place. I think they normally would have rock shows for the most part, but they would have all kinds of other things, jazz and world music. And got a couple of posters here from the time. I hope they show up on here. And you can see some of the lineups. It's usually a 3-day festival in the springtime, like April or May. It varied from year to year. I always found it really exciting. The thing about this festival is some of the groups that were booked were already established groups that had been together for a while, but a lot of times you'd have musicians from Europe, different parts of Europe, in America, just all over the world that would come together, oftentimes playing and meeting for the first time on the night they were to be booked to play together. So you'd have an improvising musician from Britain or Germany playing with someone from California or here or New York, and they had never met before that night. And they might have known about each other before, maybe through recordings or maybe being on the bill somewhere else, but never actually playing together. Here's some examples here of this particular festival. Yeah, Fred Anderson is on there, and Ken Kessler, just all kinds of people. But yeah, that was part of what was so exciting, is you were seeing people improvising together for the first time, and it was a lot of times truly free improvisation. There was nothing predetermined beforehand, and it was distinct from a jam session where it was really, in the moment and very, they had to respond and play together for a certain amount of time because they had to have other people coming after them. Sometimes I remember getting there at 7 or 8 o'clock, and it would go until well past midnight, into the middle of the night, depending how long the last couple of groups played. But what I want to show here is just some albums that I had found there, as well as these could be acts, people that played there, or the kind of music that played there. Well, to describe the place itself real quick, it was on the corner Western, and I forget the other street. If you know the Chicagoland area, you had two entrances to choose from, one on the corner and one that was kind of inset. Usually you'd go to the little inset one. You'd go into like this little cove, you turn left and go into the room. This one room would be basically like a pool room. You had a pool table, maybe some arcade games, a dartboard. And on the night that they would have shows, the pool table would be used for a merch table. You'd have stacks of CDs strewn along this whole table, which is fun to go back and check in between sets. And on these nights you'd have, 4, 5, 6 sets, so you can go back and forth in between sometimes, and depending what they were doing, and pick up some more CDs and buy them directly from sometimes the artists themselves, or they have certain people handling it. So you'd leave this room, you go straight ahead, and you had like a hallway with the restrooms, and then to the right you'd have the bar going down the other way. It was basically kind of like an L-shaped room, an L or a J-shaped room. So the long part, you had the bar and some tables strewn around, and then you go into the corner, and that's where the stage was, which is kind of on a 45-degree angle, so you could position yourself anyway and see it pretty well. And then when you get to the shorter part of the L, you'd go up some stairs. You'd have like a landing, like an upper tier, and that's where the sound booth would be, and other people would be sitting there. You sat wherever you could find room. It could be bar stools, or a lot of times they had couches and kind of plush chairs, and if you got there first, you got them. And there'd be other folding chairs, but it was very, and I remember the walls were basically brick. It was very, very homey, kind of like a loft. It's really what it felt like. You think of like the old loft concerts of the 70s in New York, which I never got to see, of course, but I imagine this is kind of what it was like. You kind of felt like you're in a living room of a loft, and it was very casual and great fun. There was a black cat I remember who was kind of like the house cat, might have belonged to one of the owners, who was always there from year to year, which was always a nice feature. Looked like the one cat I had, Mr. Mudd, for years. But I remember some of the shows, actually, they would play off the front of the stage, unamplified, maybe on quieter nights when there weren't as many people there. I remember seeing Bar Phillips there one time in a string trio, and being able to get access on one of the couches, and that's really what it felt like. It was like having Bar Phillips in your living room. You got to sit there and just, again, they were completely acoustic, and you got to experience it that way. So yeah, I'll just share some of these CDs here. Again, in some way related to either artists who played there, the kind of music that played there, as well as things that I remember buying from there, from that pool table. Director's having fun with one of the posters here, trying to unravel it, further unravel it. I'll start right in with this one. Hal Russell, Energy Ensemble. This is an ECM, actually. Very experimental, avant-garde, improvisational. A couple of the fellows on here, Mars Williams and Kent Kessler. They were often at the festival. In fact, the first time I ever went was I seen Mars Williams on saxophones at his own band. Very fun, kind of a jazz funk improv. Kent Kessler was playing. He had his own groups. Plus was playing solo bass. Had one set, just unaccompanied on string bass. I can remember at one point he was, playing his set. His glasses kept getting kind of falling down on his nose, and while he's playing, he just takes his glasses and flings them on the floor while he's playing, and just ignoring them, But that was part of it too, is that you never knew what was going to happen. Just things would just pop up, and it's very casual. But yeah, it's a couple of examples there. Those musicians. I think I actually bought this one there, one of the festivals. Somebody from this group was playing there. Space Between. You got Pauline Oliveros and Bar Phillips, mentioning him before, in the same group. But, it's the kind of thing they would have. Just throw together musicians you wouldn't normally associate with each other. You'd see a lot of that there at the club. So that was an example. remember getting this one there. This is the Peace Concert. Joe Maneri and Peter Dolger. Very early saxophone drum duet, improvised, which you didn't see much at the time. This is one of those in the vault things, 1964. Now this little insignia here, Unheard Music Series with the bird, that was a label, local label that had a lot of these, improvised performances recorded at various times that didn't come out until much later, until this time. So, yeah, Joe Maneri, someone who fairly late in life became more recognized for what he did with microtones and improvisation, and had his own system of playing. That's Joe Maneri there, Pete Dolger. So, yeah, really neat stuff. Got quite a few here, so I'll try to go quick. There's another one from that label. Steve Lacy Quintet, Esteem. Sorry, take this one out to reduce the glare. Yeah, it's another one from that series. It was called Atavistic, Unheard Music Series. Yeah, just stuff that was in the vault that had come out till later. His group of the time, soprano saxophonist. Another one of those groups that Iskra 1903. Yeah, Paul Rutherford, Derek Bailey, and Barry Guy. Paul Rutherford played at the festival one year, playing solo trombone. It's from the M&M label. Not to be confused with the Rapper Guy. So it's an early example of what they were doing in the early 70s. Yeah, 3-disc set here, all improvised, very almost chamber classical in a way, but much more chaotic at times. Very interesting. It's another one from that Unheard Music Series. Yeah, Peter Brotzmann and Han Benink. Yeah, recorded in the Black Forest on a rainy day in 1977. Yeah, it was originally an FMP. If you know that label out of Germany. There's that insignia again. Yeah, something that came out, much later after it was recorded. You see the various instruments being used here. Kind of almost anything goes in a way. So yeah. Oh, and I like the look of the CD too. Kind of like a lot of them had this look, like a reel-to-reel tape. They had that feel to it. So yep. That's what they were. They were in the vault. This is very nice. Leo Smith, Procession of the Great Ancestry. He was there one year, playing in another one of those very interesting ad hoc groupings with some European artists. One of those totally improvised things. It's from the 80s, in 1983. Yeah, wonderful artist. It was great to see him there. And seeing a lot of people that I had only heard on record, from being able to see them improvise with each other and all these seemingly incongruous, pairings and matchups. That's what really made it fun. Yeah, Leo Smith. Another group I never got to see there, but this is an example of the kind of thing you see there. Soho Suites. Yeah, Derek Bailey and Tony Oxley. Drums and guitar duets. From I think vastly different dates, 1977 and 1995. Would have been really neat to see them there. Kind of an example, rough example of what you'd hear over there. Yeah, a lot of British musicians, German, would come over and play with Americans. It's always very interesting. Again, another group I didn't see there, but an example of the kind of thing you would see. You'd see a lot of drum and saxophone duos. And of course, this great one, Rashid Ali and Frank Lowe. Heavy stuff here. Definitely be in the right frame of mind for this. kind of along the lines of what Rashid was doing with John Coltrane on Interstellar Space. Great stuff here. Very fiery and intense. It's another one I remember getting at that at the festival, on that pool table. Kind of blind / deaf by at the time. Open, it's called, from 1977. Dudek, Niebergall, and Vasella. Really interesting trio here. I only knew of Edward Vasella at that time. Had this for quite a while. But yeah, one of those things that was in the vault. Pictures? Yeah, there's a trio there. Yep. There's a few more here. Another one from that same label. Pakistani Pomade, or Pomade. Schlippenbach Trio from 1972. Now I got to see them sometime, I think in the mid-2000s. Same group, only instead of, we had Alex von Schlippenbach on piano, Evan Parker on saxophones, and Paul Lovins on drums and percussion. Instead it was Paul Litton, the British drummer, who took his place, took his other Paul's place because he couldn't make it. But very neat, very neat stuff. Trio interactions here. It was really neat seeing them. You know, I guess at that time it was 30 years on. And a lot of these musicians that I got to see were older by then. They were in their 50s and 60s, but still very, they weren't resting on their laurels or they were still taking risks on stage, and it was very, probably just as intense as it may have been in the old days. I don't know, but it's great, great witnessing them again, live and in the moment. Something, the kind of thing that you would have heard out there. I don't remember if this artist was ever there or not. At least, I hadn't seen him. Elliott Sharp, Carbon, Monster Curve. Really interesting artist out of New York. I know Ronco, my lung puppy, has mentioned him quite a bit. I think he's played with him too. Multi-instrumentalist, very interesting artist. You'd see a lot of this sort of thing there, multi-instrumentalists and just all kinds of artists. See all the instruments he plays there on the top. Yeah. But yeah, again, it kind of had that scene, that feel to it. They call it the downtown scene in New York. It's kind of like what they were doing at the Empty Bottle Festival, just the way people came together. And one more here. I have quite a few of these, but figured just show a handful of them. Be here for a very long time. Last Exit, I've mentioned before. Yeah, Peter Brotzmann. He's someone who's played at the festival quite a bit. Kind of similar to Albert Eiler, but in his own way. Very intense saxophone multi-reed player. And of course, this incredible lineup here. It's a combination. Yeah, there's the artists themselves. Yeah, Ronald Shannon Jackson, Sonny Sherrock, Peter Brotzmann, and Bill Laswell. So yeah, didn't get to see them, but again, you kind of had similar in that label. So yeah, that's just some examples of the kind of thing you would see and hear at the Empty Bottle. And yeah, it was so such a neat thing, again, seeing this in the moment. People had never played together before, all these different combinations, very unpredictable, and yeah, from year to year you just never knew, or night to night you never knew what was going to happen. I was glad to have been to at least have been to a few of them, or over the years. I think they stopped doing it around mid to late 2000s. Maybe it was funding, or I don't know. There's other places who I think that have had similar configurations or setups, but just hadn't gotten around. I hadn't kept up enough. But it was a great kind of little snapshot of those times. real quick, I'll show some books. Sherv is showing some jazz books, and he was saying not always the most organized with books. I understand that because they're strewn all over, and on shelves and boxes and everything. This is one, I think he had showed this one. Black music, Leroy Jones, later known as Amiri Baraka. He was also showing Blues People, which I have that somewhere, but didn't have it handy for this. Real nice. They wrote several books on jazz and music in general. We got Sun Ra here. I think there was one with Ornette Coleman, Pharaoh Sanders. And now that I've pulled these out, I want to read these again. It's been a long. I've had some of these for years and years, since the '90s. Some of them. This is one of my all-time favorite books of jazz, of music, of just in general. Sign of Jazz. This is written by Randy Halton from Scandinavia. She was a journalist who got to meet with a lot of different musicians who came through that part of the world, going back, I think, at least to the 50s, all through the years. Great deal of history here. Just telling, a lot of stories. Came with the CD, but got to see so many different people. Stan Getz, among others. Just telling, just basically telling stories. Just the encounters with various people. Elvin Jones. Just wonderful. Just the history that's in here. Dexter Gordon. Both a nice, in a way, history of the scene, Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Finland, as well as all the people that came through there. I've got Keith Jarrett. Yeah, I talked a lot about that too. Touched on ECM quite a bit. A little history of the label, and let's see, Mingus. Yeah, Charlie Mingus. Yeah, just about anyone you could think of during that time who came through that area is discussed in here. Yeah, Phil Woods, Cecil Taylor. There's a lot about Sonny Rollins in here too, which is really really fun. She had a lot of nice reminiscences of him. Oh, her drawing of Paul Gonslivs. Yeah, a little bit of artwork in here. And I really like her whole tone throughout. It's very conversational and very friendly, and you just feel like you're just kind of hanging out. Some early ones here. So yeah, it's very, very fun. Would highly recommend this if you see this around. Not sure if it's still in print. I remember getting this probably in the late 90s. Yeah, Public Faces, Private Moments. Randy Holton, Sign of Jazz. Yeah, this is excellent. There's one funny picture in here. I don't know if maybe I'll find it for another time. But yeah, it's very. Oh, here's a. Here with Sonny Rollins. Yeah, very cool. Oh yeah, excellent book here. A couple here were influenced by Gary. Well, my good pal Gary, Cosmic Pickle. Pause in the Rain. By Joy Greenberg, wife of Chuck Greenberg from the band Shadowfax, who were actually local to here. It's a local native Chicagoan, and this is really good. Her just a little bit. Really nice. Her story of their time together, the scene they kind of came out of, and a little history of the group and their life together. And sadly, he left far too soon. He was only in his mid-40s when he died, Chuck Greenberg. But really nice, kind of snapshot of that time together. It's the group themselves, Shadowfax. It's very good too. So it was a great recommendation from him. Straight Life, Life of Art and Laurie Pepper. A book I still have to finish. Very harrowing, very, he kind of puts it out all on the table for you to, doesn't sanitize anything about his life or whitewash it. Tells you really how things happened. Yeah, something I need to resume with. It's quite good. And I know it's one of his favorite books, Gary. He's really raving about it. Yeah, Straight Life. This one I'd found sometime in the last few years. Changes, Tony Adam. It's on Survey of British Modern Jazz, 1946-1973. Someone else in their video was Scott. He has a channel called September Energy, I think it's still his username. Was recommending this. It was quite good. Good overview of the scene of the time. Changes. This is something I found recently, and I think Sherv had mentioned this himself, and I was very excited to hear about this. Charles Lloyd. Joseph Woodard, A Wild Blatant Truth. So, biography of him. A lot of glare on this one, but yeah. Look forward to getting into this. He's someone who I've enjoyed very much for a long time. Definitely among my favorites. And a real nice one here, which could probably give its own video. I'll try to show us real quick. Jazz Portraits, An Eye for the Sound. Images of jazz and jazz musicians. I've had this for a long time. And it's basically just pictures for the most part. Real nice photography of going all through history. Yeah, Billie Holiday, Lester Young. Duke, Billy Strayhorn, Ella Fitzgerald, or no, sorry, Mahalia Jackson, gospel singer. Good. Ben Webster. Yeah, some really nice ones here. Jimmy Garrison at Home. I love that. Love those sort of things. And Rashid Ali with his son. Yeah, it's kind of slice of life here. Yeah, maybe at some point I'll come on and want to see more of it, go a little more in depth. But I pulled this out. I hadn't seen this in a long time. I had it on my shelf, just in the bottom, kind of tucked away. It's like, well, now that I got these out, again, I need to really look at them more. But, yeah. So, some jazz books, just a few that I pulled out here. And yeah, just wanted to come on and share some of this. Again, Sherv's videos have been inspiring me, and I wanted to come on with these. Playing in the background here. Jackie McLean, Jackie Mac. Sherv's a fan of his. Shows a lot of his Blue Note albums. He's done the Blue Note 4000 series for a while now. So if you know Sherv, if you don't know his channel, please check him out. Learn a great deal about jazz and ethnic music, very obscure stuff from all over the world. And great guy. You feel like you're just hanging out with him, just in the room, his music room, just doing needle drops in real time and everything, and just a lot of fun. So yeah, this goes out to Sherv and anyone else is into this sort of thing. Yeah. Great stuff here. It's from 1992. And Antilles. Yeah, Rhythm of the Earth. So So yeah. So yeah, just want to come on and share these. It's probably gone on quite long, but yeah, I wanted to talk about the empty bottle for a while, and figure I got everything out now, so why not? I hope you're all doing as well as possible, and well, to the next one. Peace, love, and joy.